Hi, and welcome back to our multi-part series, QAnon from Day One. This is Part 2. I'm your host, Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, why don't you go ahead and click the red subscribe button here and hit the bell for notifications so you can get these videos as soon as they are posted. Because as I said before, as the information comes to me, I will make it available to you. I want to thank each and every one of my subscribers. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible. So keep up the good work in the comments. I look forward to reading each and every one. Now, let's get right into it. This is where we left off last time. This post right here. So we'll just move right into the next post. Hopefully this can be pretty seamless for most people watching in sequential order. The next post says, why does Obama travel in advance of POTUS to foreign locations? Why is this relevant? Focus on the power of POTUS as it relates to the Marines. How can military intelligence be applied to prosecute bad actors and avoid corrupt agencies and judges? Biggest drop on poll. Above is reason why the shills are sliding. In case you didn't know, shills log and send new info back to auxiliary security forces for instruction. They use a 5-prong prepackaged injection. One post auto-generates 4 more at random designated times. Common drive of posts they all tap into. Since they misjudged the influence of the MSM, they are aggressively looking to censor throughout major platforms in exchange for CIA slush funds, and throughout major platforms in exchange for CIA slush funds, and worldwide access for expansion of said networks. Everything they do has been forecasted and prepared for, and we are seeing it happen right now. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are just joining us, look at the news today. How relevant is this post from October 31st, 2017, with regard to what's happening on all the major platforms, Twitter, YouTube, Google, to people who are just expressing a thought? Apparently, they're trying to make thought crimes a real thing. And if we don't stand up against it, then they will succeed. So we need to study this, and we need to understand it. And for those of you who don't know about Obama's travel arrangement, this is an article from December of 2017, and it's talking about Obama making his rounds right after President Trump went on his trip to China and India. You have Obama following him, meeting with Xi Jinping, Narendra Modi, the Indian Prime Minister, and French President Emmanuel Macron. So what is he doing? Was he following Trump and trying to keep the global elitists on his side, the foreign powers, from turning on him and going with Trump? Well, that is something that we will still have to give time to see if it's true. But we'll move right on. But this is really important. I'm going to go back here real quick. Look at what's happening to everyone, all the big content creators. A lot of people I watch, a lot of channels that I like have been taken away. A lot of information has just disappeared. Twitter has blocked accounts that I like, that I follow. And it's really sad that the war on information has begun, and now they're pulling out every tool they have to fight us. But they won't win, so you don't have to worry about that. Moving on. Why did Mueller meet POTUS one day prior to FBI announcement if Mueller could not be offered a director due to previous term limits rule? Because Trump wanted to sit him down and have the come to God meeting with him, which is basically a meeting that says, you're going to follow orders or else. And one thing that was pointed out to me about Mueller is that being a Marine, he should be subject to presidential orders at any given time, whether active or retired or not active duty. Because Marines take an oath to serve. I'm not going to get this correct, but it's basically serving at the pleasure of the president and to protect the Constitution of the United States. So, yeah, maybe that's what the whole meeting was about. Why is Pelosi begging for a new special counsel? Is it possible that at this time she was not sure whether Mueller had turned over to Trump? What's her net worth? I think it's around $25 million if you look it up on Wikipedia. How was this obtained given salary as career official? That is a... I'm sorry, forgive me. I don't like to laugh too often in these videos, but that is very funny. Because I can't figure it out doing the math either, other than the fact that she used the information that she got in closed session to make stock investments that ended up yielding her big gains because she was privy to information that the American public was not. That's one possibility. It says, how or why is Pelosi's memory going? Could it protect against prosecution? Well, yes, and how so would be, she's just mentally unfit to stand trial, or if she goes to a trial by jury, then, it's a pity play. There's a lot of different ways you could construe that legally. And same thing with here. It says, what if John McCain's surgery was fake? Why would this occur? What could this prevent potentially? What is the Mayo Clinic? Who sits on the board of directors there? Funny that you should ask that, Q, because I happen to look it up. And here you have a list of the, Mayo Clinic governance, the board of trustees. I don't see anybody, Ursula Burns, maybe Mr. Burns's relative. No, I'm joking. Let us look at who really he's referring to. And it's a man named Eric E. Schmidt. And who's Eric E. Schmidt? Well, most of you probably know him as the former executive chairman of Google, Eric Emerson Schmidt. So, who's famously quoted as saying, if you have something that you don't want anyone to know, maybe you shouldn't be doing it in the first place. Well, truer words have never been spoken, Mr. Schmidt, and I wonder why you resigned from your position at Google, Mr. Schmidt. So, moving forward. So, obviously, did John McCain pull a favor with Eric Schmidt to get them to, falsify a procedure in order to give him an out in case he was brought under indictment for possible crimes against our country? These are all valid questions, and I look for you in the comments to help us figure it out moving forward. It says, why do Dems want to control the black population? Why do they intentionally keep poor and in need? Why do Democrats project racism on a daily basis against Republicans? Why do black elected officials do the crazy talk on behalf of Democrats? Well, this one I just want to comment on because, I'm impartial to race. I think it's merit. I think it's content of character. I think those are the things that make us who we are. But if we're going to break it down into a racial demographic here, and we're going to talk about this, I find it very bewildering to listen to a person like Maxine Waters talk about the president, talk about impeachment, talk about all of the atrocities, the racism, when in fact it seems that the only racist in the room is her. And this could go for a few other people, but I'm not going to get into a whole tangent on that. I just believe that we all need to look at this all. We're re-examining it here. And that means that, this re-examination these are the proofs of Q. We're taking a look at this now, 4 months removed, in order to have the hindsight, the perspective, and the ability to look back and see what was predicted and what has happened. Because if you look at it, it all points to the fact that Q is real, this information is real, and that we are making history together here. So let's move forward. It says, how do Democrats cover the historical facts of forming the Confederacy, KKK, and oppose all things pro-black re-legislation? Well, that's the hypocrisy, the irony, the terribleness of it all, is they deny their past as being you know, the secessionists, the Southern Democrats, the protectors of the KKK, proponents of the KKK, if you will, and they oppose all things pro-black free legislation. So that they shoot down bills that would help the black community. And I don't even like bifurcating or dissecting our population by race, but obviously there are some discrepancies, and we do make an effort to address those. But then why are the Democrats the ones who shoot it all down, or pork belly it? So they add their own agendas and their own favorable terms to any kind of legislation that could help the black population. These are all really good questions that deserve much more focus and examination. So I'll leave that to you guys in the comments. It says, what happens if Democrats lose the slave grip on the black population? Why do Democrats, through the funding of the CIA, prop up and install Hollywood media assets? Does this fall within the Operation Mockingbird? Yes. And that would be answering that question. It says, what were the historical advantages Democrats gained by having mainstream media and famous people peddling narrative? Well, I mean, that's kind of self-explanatory. The advantage is that you can get the majority of Americans to turn a blind eye to all of your policies, legislation, governing principles. Simply put, they put everyone into a dream state. And I think this all kind of goes back to the Project Deep Dream version 2, putting people to sleep, and how they lulled us to sleep. It's very sad. And for those of you who are here, you're awake. And I encourage you all to work your hardest to awaken everyone who you love and care for, and even those that you don't, because that's the Christian ethos, is to fight for the good of humanity and others and trust in the Lord. But moving forward, who exposed the pedo network within Hollywood? You can't answer the above, but will laugh once disclosed details. Now, is this referring to the Corey Feldman to Corey Feldman, who exposed the fact that there's a set of predators who not only have worked in Hollywood, but some who are verified as predators, who have been convicted of crimes, seem to be still working in Hollywood. And you guys can do the research for that for yourself. That would be a whole nother video that I'm not going to make right now, but you guys can look this up for yourself. Now, it says the network which controls this false narrative, which in turns keeps the black population under control, is being dismantled. False local and national black leaders will be exposed next as shills for the Democratic Party. Follow the money. Maxine Waters has $4 million home and cash assets in excess of $6 million. How is that possible? This is just one he says one example. All of these questions help to paint the full picture. So that last part you can kind of put together for yourself. That's, as I've said before, these first original Q posts, they're not cryptic. These aren't riddles. These aren't puzzles. These are literal frameworks for what is happening. He's giving us the paradigm and saying this is what's happening. So you guys do with that as you may. We're going to keep moving. It says, who did POTUS meet with yesterday? Was Attorney General Sessions there? How many military intelligence generals were on the White House list to attend separate meeting? Could those meetings have been combined? Why were certain rooms in the White House renovated? Where was the meeting on Monday? Why aren't phones allowed in this room? One of many. What firm was contracted to conduct the renovations? Now, all good questions, and we have a few insights into that. Okay, so the meeting was right here. It was the meeting with business leaders before tax reform, and it was like an industry meeting, so it had a lot of industry folks there from all the biggest industries, right? Sorry, it wasn't so eloquently put, but so the remarks by the president not as important as what happened there. And I think Q is insinuating that these leaders of industry were brought in. They were sat down with Attorney General Sessions, possibly. They were possibly sat down with military intelligence generals. And it says, why were certain rooms in the White House renovated? And why aren't phones allowed? Well, have these rooms been made into SCIFs? Have they been made spy-proof? And have they been made hardened to eavesdropping? Is it possible that the former president had installed some kind of bugging system? Q gets into some very weird and crazy things, and we'll see this coming up. But what firm was contracted to conduct the renovations? So this is fascinating. The firm conducted was the GSA, and the GSA is the Governmental Service Agency and Governmental Services Agency. And what does the GSC do? Well, it was established by Harry Truman to streamline administrative work of the federal government. Now, what did they do? Well, their original mission was to dispose of war surplus goods, manage and store government records, handle emergency preparedness, and stockpile strategic supplies for wartime. So was the White House renovated to fulfill some of these objectives, or to remove things that may have been placed by other bad actors? We'll get into that later, and Q goes into that. So keep watching. We'll get into it. Q goes on to say, I've dumped some crumbs like this over the weekend, which started the intense shilling. At this point, we are far enough along you can paint the picture without risk of jeopardizing the operation. Simply put, I think what he's saying here, I mean, it's in plain English, as you can see, but it's saying that enough information has been put forth that the operation at hand is not in risk, is not at risk, or was not at risk, and that it was moving forward full-fledged. And the operation, if you ask what that is, well, it's the operation to get the bad actors, the Luciferians, the pedos, the Podestas, the people of the world who were not acting on behalf of the American people for their benefit. They were acting for their own benefit. Now, moving forward, who controls the National Guard? Why was the National Guard recently activated in select cities within the U.S.? Can the National Guard work in coordination with the Marines? Yes. Do conditions need to be satisfied to authorize? I believe so, and the conditions were. What former president used the military to save the Republic, and what occurred exactly? Well, pretty sure that was a reference to Abraham Lincoln and the Civil War. The Southern Democrat secession led to Abraham Lincoln enacting and calling on the army to fight for the Republic, to preserve its sanctity and its wholeness. And are we going into this new Civil War? I'm not sure. That's for you guys to figure out. But thinking out loud, it all makes sense. And where we are today, as opposed to where we were when these posts were being made, can only point further to this being true. Now, biggest drop to ever be provided on poll, study and prepare. The masses tend to panic in such situations. No war, no civil unrest, clean and swift. So what he's saying is, the last one to do it was Lincoln, but there will be no war, and there will be no civil unrest, and there will be no civil war, hopefully, because he's going to do a lot of this quietly, and he's going to have to do it tactfully. And I think that's what you've seen up till now, from the date this was posted to today, that tactful measures have been enacted in order to fight this. But the more we start to defeat these people, the more they become like a cornered animal, lashing out violently in every direction. And that could explain certain things that have happened lately, as far as just awful atrocities that I don't want to rehash. But you guys know what I'm referring to in Florida. And we need to be prepared and we need to be aware. And this is just a reminder that Q has been warning us about this for quite some time. Moving on. Note, military intelligence has the same special access programs as NSA, CIA, etc., as designated post 9/11, which was the designation to have them all share intelligence. That was kind of the move, was that they said because all the intelligence agencies were so disjointed that intelligence gathering was ineffective, and it led to 9/11. But we all can debate that. It seems to be what happened, but a lot of people have a lot of different theories, which I tend to agree with some, others not so much. So you guys be the judge. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'd be interested to hear that. It says, why is this relevant? Who can be held hostage and controlled? CIA thinks its foreign offshore assets are strong enough to defend against the U.S. executive, not accounting for military use on domestic soil. Why does the Constitution explicitly grant this authority to the president, and what is it to prevent? So those two questions are kind of, well, the statement and the question say, okay, foreign leaders, foreign actors can be held hostage and controlled. The CIA has built its career on doing this. If you look at what assets they've been storing offshore, I'm sure they're vast. I'm sure that they're incredibly strong and powerful. And, you know, as you would want to be the case if you are hoping that these people are working as good actors, but it's been alluded to here that they are not. So I think that Trump sees right through it, and that he is planning for this battle. And, you know, note that this is from October 31st. And like I've said before, we are 4 months ahead now, looking back. Are there any examples that you can think of where things have happened outside of the president's control that have caused panic, that have been purportedly done by outside actors? I can think of a few incidents in Hawaii, maybe, and an incident, well, several incidents. I don't want to go through each one, but you guys let me know in the comments, because I'm always curious to hear what you have to think. Now, going on, it says, they knew our agencies would grow in power, so much so they can hold the executive hostage or engage with bad actors. Trump nominated someone to direct every agency but one. He controls the top. Well, I think that's pointing to Admiral Rogers, of course, working at the NSA. So, obviously Trump cleaned house. He did his best, but putting new directors in, I mean, you're still seeing the effect of it today, 4 months later, where even having replaced the heads of each agency, there's still a lot of blowback, and there's still a lot of people who are not acting in our best interest, but hopefully we're continuing to take and put a dent in that. Now we'll move on to the next one. Any person making statements they will not be seeking re-election was put in submission. For the betterment of the country, not all will be prosecuted, and all will do as told. You will see more of this occur, not normal yet disregarded, and even on the Democratic side. So, this is pointing to a lot of cool things. I mean, not cool, I guess it's cool from the perspective of wanting to see people who do bad things get in trouble or lose their power. But you can see here what the implication is, that all these resignations that we've seen since this point, October 31st till today, and we've seen many. Al Franken was one. Flake from Arizona saying he's not going to seek re-election. The list goes on and on. There's many. But Q's telling us right here that these people were probably brought in or met or told somehow that we know what you've done. If you continue to work and run for this position of power, whatever it is, X position, that we will, in a more primal term, if I could use it, we will destroy you. But that's not that's in a metaphysical sense, or in the sense of we will destroy your career. And they'll release the stuff and they'll prosecute him. So they basically told him, they said, look, you can run for office again, but we're going to leak all this information and we're going to put you in front of a trial, and then we'll see how you do there. So these people don't want this information coming out. That's why you never see this on the mainstream news. It says, follow up to last post. Return to comments re Pelosi and John McCain. Some of us refuse to say his last name for a reason. Now, this is the first time I can say here that they say, we won't say his last name, or he who we cannot mention his name, or whatever it is. I don't know why they wouldn't mention his last name. Maybe they don't want to say his last name because they don't want to dishonor his father. Because I heard his father was like an admiral, was seemingly a good guy, but you guys will let me know about that in the comments as usual. This all has meaning. Everything stated. Big picture stuff. Few positions allow for this direct knowledge. Proof to begin 11:3. We all sincerely appreciate the work you do. Keep up the good fight. The flow of information is vital. God bless. God bless you, Q. But 11:3 is referring to what happened on 11:3 when Mueller targets Podesta and Vin Weber. So this is from November 3rd, 2017. So take that with a grain of salt and put it into your knowledge base bank, and you will we're continually making deposits there. So you guys just stick with me, and we'll continue this incredibly important series on putting together all the past Q posts. Then it says, Q posts, think about it logically. The only way is the military, fully controlled, save and spread. Once 11.3 verifies this first marker, biggest advance drop on poll. So he's telling you it's October 31st. He says the stuff's going to hit the fan on November 3rd, as it did for Tony Podesta. Now, we got a couple interesting ones here. Next one says, not everything can be publicly disclosed because so much ties back to foreign heads of state. Much will be revealed. We want transparency, but not at the cost we can't recover from. So what it's saying here is that military intelligence has all the information. They know who the public officials involved are. But let's think about this logically for a second. Do we, even if we know there are bad actors in foreign actors and foreign heads of state, we're not trying to start a war here, okay? We are trying to fix our country because, as many people have said, if you want to help others, you need to make sure your house is in order first. Meaning, we need to make America great again, and then we can help the world deal with its problems. But the fact that we have the information on these foreign heads of state is just that. It's just a fact. We have it. I'm sure they hate the fact that we have it. I'm sure it terrifies them. But I'm sure that they also know that, it's kind of goes back to the mutually assured destruction. Do we want to hit that big red button and have the whole world catch on fire? Or do we want to focus on, do we want to keep our head low, focus on rebuilding our country, and focus on our strong power, our speak softly and carry a big stick agenda? That's all to be seen, but we'll just keep going. The next one is an ANON, and I think this is the first one where Q responds to an ANON, which I thought was fascinating. But he says, what must be completed to engage military intelligence over other three-letter agencies? And then it says, during the 1950s and 60s, federal troops and federalized National Guard forces, accompanied by military intelligence personnel, were deployed to help integrate Southern schools and to help deal with civil disorders in Detroit in 1967 and other cities in the following year. It says, after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Throughout this period, military intelligence units also continued to collect data on Americans at home who were suspected of involvement in subversive activities. In the late 1960s, the Pentagon compiled personal information on more than 100,000 politically active Americans in an effort to quell civil rights and anti-Vietnam War demonstrations and to discredit protesters. The Army used 1,500 plainclothes agents to watch demonstrations, infiltrate organizations, and spread disinformation. According to one report, the Army had at least one observer at every demonstration of more than 20 people. The Army's activities were summed up by Senator Sam Ervin, allegedly for the purpose of predicting and preventing civil disturbances, which might develop beyond the control of state and local officials. Army agents were sent throughout the country to keep surveillance over the way the civilian population expressed their sentiments about government policies. In churches, on campuses, in classrooms, in public meetings, they took notes, tape recorded, and photographed people who dissented in thought, word, or deed. This included clergymen, editors, public officials, and anyone who sympathized with the dissenters. Now, it cuts to he posts this article, which we'll look at really quickly. And it is right here. It is the role of military intelligence in homeland security. And this is a more recent document. And this document goes on, its introduction is basically making a case for how military intelligence can be used in the homeland in order to ensure that we don't have another 9/11 style attack, and to ensure the general well-being of the country in general. So, then he goes on to say, ha 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 ha, Trump has had military intelligence infiltrate Antifa and all the dissenting local governments, always 5 steps ahead, please be true. Q response, well done, picture being painted. Now this is big. To me, what this says is that the reason that none of these movements got big, the reason the Antifa and, when they put the full page ad in the paper to call for mass demonstrations against President Trump and all that, or whatever, resistance as they like to call it, the reason that never has taken off is because we've been actively infiltrating it. We've been actively working against it. We've been actively thwarting their attempts, as it were, which I say bravo and kudos to Trump. And all thanks be to God, but I'm very, very pleased to hear that this is being done behind the scenes and that we are actively engaged in a covert operation to make America great again. So hashtag MAGA for all you guys out there, all my Pepes and my Kekistan army here. All right. Excuse me. It says, some things must remain classified to the very end. North Korea is not being run by Kim. He's an actor in the play. Who is the director? Well, it could be, in my opinion, I've heard theories that state that North Korea is not being controlled by the great dictator that we see on TV. I've heard theories that he is an actor. I've also heard theories that he is a puppet for somebody. And who is that somebody? Well, all I'm going to say is that the clowns in action have a very, very vast and powerful network. And I'll leave it there. The truth would sound so outrageous most Americans would riot, revolt, reject, etc. The pedo networks are being dismantled, thank God. The child abductions for satanic rituals, i.e. Haiti and other third world countries, are paused, not terminated, until players are in custody. We pray every single day for God's guidance and direction, as we are truly up against pure evil. So, you see it right here. And like I said, a lot of this is not being spoken in the cryptic Q language that we've come to accustomed to today. I mean, this is being laid out in literal terms for us. So you guys can put all that together, but praise God that we're working to fight this evil, and we're taking this scourge off of our plane of existence in order to prop up humanity and not destroy ourselves and enact evil. So thank God for that. Next, would you believe a device was placed somewhere in the White House that could actually cause harm to anyone in the room and would in essence be undetected? Fantasy, right? Well, this goes back to the company, the renovations in the White House. Who do you think would place a device somewhere in the White House that could actually cause harm to anyone in the room and would be in essence be undetected? These people make me sick, and I hope that and I pray that we continue to fight them with God on our side. We can certainly defeat them. Moving on. When Trump was elected, you can't possibly imagine the steps taken prior to losing power to ensure future safety and control. When was it reported Trump Jr. dropped his Secret Service detail? Why would he take that huge risk given what we know? I can hint and point, but cannot give too many highly classified data points. These keywords and questions are framed to reduce sniffer programs that continue to absorb and analyze data, then push to Z terminals for evaluation. Think X key score on steroids. Now, okay. First of all, for those who don't know what X key score is, we can look at it really quickly here. So what is X key score? It's a suite of software running on a Linux host, classically used for Department of Naval Intelligence processing, selection, and survey, distributed hierarchy of servers at field sites and headquarters, extract and tag metadata and content from traffic, servicing analyst queries and workflows, web and programming front ends. So for those of you who are not familiar with some of these terms, in a nutshell, what it is, it's a giant computer that searches the internet, collects metadata based on filters and tags that have been pre-programmed, and then it can analyze and catalog all of that information for easy access, which is crazy. But to think of this on steroids, I don't know what that would look like. That would look like some kind of supercomputer that's, like HAL from the Space Odyssey 2001, something in that vein, right? So, but why did Donald Trump Jr. drop his Secret Service detail? And I think that's pretty simple. Certain, I'm not saying all, because there's a lot of good Secret Service out there who fight to protect our country and our president and our important members of government, but certain people in that organization may or may not have been compromised. I'm going to leave it at that. And that is where I'm going to leave that. Next, world stalemate. We all have the goods on everyone else. That's part of the reason why some things that tie back to foreign heads of state will remain classified, not all. We are in one of the most critical times of our country. Trump and others are working to balance we're doing well for America, for the common purpose to endorse, while at the same time purify our government and remove the bad actors who are entrenched. There is so much string pulling and blackmail that we need to cut these off to truly gain the power granted to us by the patriots and hardworking people of this great country. So, this all goes back to mutually assured destruction. So we're in a stalemate. They have dirt on us, we have dirt on them, and we don't want to start a world war. So we need to clean our house. We need to get all foreign governments out of our government, in the sense that they've blackmailed and control people through money and through blackmail. So Trump's working on that, and he's been working on that since this date, November 1st, 2017. And you guys, like I've said before, I'll keep saying it, just to remind you guys, this is plain as day. I mean, I don't need to break these down really. They're pretty straightforward. I'm just giving you my opinion and hoping to hear from you in the comments on what you think. Now, it goes on to say, maybe one day, but it cannot go slow. The initial wave will be fast and meaningful. It will send a signal to others immediately, and you'll see the tide turn. Not even the mainstream media can hide, and rest assured, some people will be jailed as deep cover agents. So, hopefully, sometime in the future, not that I've seen many today, even though it's starting to look like CNN is certainly guilty of some of these things, but that's what it seems, so we can only take that for what it's worth. Hopefully, these people who are working as bad actors against us will be uncovered. That's what I'll leave that as. Okay, now, goes on to say, I'm hopeful my time spent here was not wasted. Note few, if any, shills inside this thread. Reason for that? It's being monitored, recorded, and analyzed, and don't want the clutter. Take good care. God bless. So, they're watching this, and I'm going to finish tonight by reading this statement. It's the first time we see Q mentioned at all, and it's the Q clearance patriot. Now, this starts off and it sounds like an address to the nation from the president, but I'm not sure who illustrated or authored this piece of writing, but I'll read it to you, and this is where we're gonna cut it off for tonight. So it says, Q clearance patriot. My fellow Americans, over the course of the next several days, you will undoubtedly realize that we are taking back our great country, the land of the free, from the evil tyrants that wish to do us harm and destroy the last remaining refuge of shining light. On POTUS's order, we have initiated certain fail-safes that shall be safeguarded, or that shall safeguard the public from the primary fallout which is slated to occur November 3rd upon the arrest and announcement of Mr. Podesta, actionable 11/4. So next day. Confirmation to the public of what is occurring will then be revealed. I'm sorry, I lost my place. Okay, will then be revealed and will not be openly accepted. Public riots are being organized in serious numbers in an effort to prevent the arrest and capture of more senior public officials. On POTUS's order, a state of temporary military control will be actioned and special ops carried out. False leaks have been made to retain several within the confines of the United States to prevent extradition and special operator necessary. Rest assured, the safety and well-being of every man, woman, and child of this country is being exhausted in full. However, the atmosphere within the country will unfortunately be divided, as so many have fallen for the corrupt and evil narrative that has long been broadcast. We will be initiating the emergency broadcast system during this time in an effort to provide a direct message, avoiding the fake news, to all citizens, organizations, and or people that wish to do us harm during this time will be met with swift fury. Certain laws have been pre-lifted and to provide our great military the necessary authority to handle and conduct these operations at home and abroad. Well, there you go. This is where we're going to leave it off. It's the first mention of Q in the Q posts, and it's just another fascinating piece of information. You guys, please let me know what you think in the comments. I really look forward to hearing from you. If you want to think of a way to help the channel, one of the best ways you can do it is by coming to this landing page and clicking the red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get my videos as soon as they're posted. Another way you can help is by commenting. Leave your opinion, leave your thoughts. We need to hear what you have to say. Everybody and anyone is welcome. I really encourage everybody to get involved. Without you guys, this channel is not possible. Another way you can help is by going to Patreon, patreon.com, and just search Just Informed Talk, and you can become a patron right here. You can make a contribution by simply becoming a patron and choosing an amount to give. You can give from $1 to as many dollars as you think this broadcast was worth to you. I certainly appreciate the help. I want to say thank you to all my patrons already. You can come check out the page because you can read what my goal is and what my rewards are, and it's really interesting and a cool thing to get involved in. But I want to end tonight by saying one thing, that God is here for everyone. Everyone who's listening to this broadcast, who's made it this far with me, just remember that the only way we can defeat this is with the power of prayer and the power of God behind us and at our backs and in our hearts. We need to embrace Him fully, and we will truly be blessed. I can tell you from personal experience that the moment you open your heart to the Lord, He will come into you and He will bring a light that will shine on any darkness that there was. And He is there for you. He loves you. And no matter what walk of life you come from, no matter what you've done, if you truly want to bring Him into your life, all you have to do is seek Him out, and you will be fulfilled. God is good, and He is there for you always. His grace is greater. But I'm going to leave it there. I pray for all of you guys always. I wish you the best. I hope you have a wonderful night. Thanks for sticking with me this long. But thanks for watching the video. I'm Craig. This is Just Informed Talk. God bless and Godspeed.